So for more reaction and insight, it's a pleasure to welcome to studio legal expert and political analyst Daniel Pomerantz, the CEO of Reality Check. Daniel, thank you so much. So the mayor of New York is exploring options so that he can potentially arrest the Israeli Prime Minister when he arrives in New York. Is this extreme political theater?
Well, it's hard for me to know what he's thinking in his head or what he plans to do, but I do know that it violates U.S. federal law. In the year 2002, a bipartisan law passed by Congress called the American Service Members Protection Act said that anyone cooperating with the International Criminal Court is in violation of U.S. federal law. So if Mamdani does that, he's breaking federal law. And if he orders the New York police to try and arrest Netanyahu, which theoretically he could, the police might find themselves in an armed confrontation against the United States military. I don't think that's likely to actually happen, but that's where the law would take us if he moved forward on this.
Benjamin Netanyahu's office saying Mamdani is trying to distract from failed policies by exploring this potential arrest. But what an embarrassing scenario could play out if, in fact, he could get some kind of ludicrous effort, whether it's by the police or others, to embarrass the Prime Minister when he gets to New York.
Well, I imagine it would be particularly embarrassing for Mamdani because it would be an impotent gesture. It just wouldn't work. Either the police, the New York police, wouldn't do it because the federal government would speak to them, or they would attempt to do it and they would come face to face with the United States military. And not only does it violate American law, but what Mamdani's trying to do violates the very international laws that he's claiming to uphold. The United States is not a signatory to the Rome Statute. And not only that, the Rome Statute itself says that when someone's a visiting head of state, this is Article 98 of the Rome Convention, if you're a head of state, the Vienna Accords and other related conventions say you can't arrest that person because heads of state need to be able to travel and speak to bodies like the United Nations.
But, Daniel, there's a deeper issue at play here. Benjamin Netanyahu, according to the New York mayor, quote unquote, belongs in The Hague. And he says there are many who have a similar opinion. But frankly, his opinion doesn't matter. The facts matter. And when you bandy around accusations of genocide, then there is a problem, whether you're a mayor or anybody else.
Well, Mamdani, as the mayor of New York, is not in a position of foreign policy. And the law doesn't support him, and the nature of the United States doesn't support him. But more than that, the International Criminal Court is a political instrument and a tool of non-kinetic warfare. We heard recently, it came out evidence from the FBI, leaked evidence to the press, that Qatar had supported the chief prosecutor at the ICC, saying that they would take care of him if he would bring charges against Israel. And part of that taking care of included bringing a smear campaign against the secretary who was accusing him of sexual harassment. This is the kind of corruption that goes on in the ICC, whereby enemies of the United States and Israel use this international body as a weapon of war, first to try and put Israelis in prison, and next, well, what we may see is trying to put Americans in prison. You and I spoke about that last week right here on the show. Putting the soldiers of another country's army in prison is a tool of warfare. And a mayor of New York attempting to assist a foreign power in doing that violates the ASPA. It's a violation of American law, and it's an act of aggression against United States soldiers.
Just to be clear, in terms of detail, that Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan facing his own allegations of sexual abuse, and many people would have seen that interview with Christian Amanpour. Very briefly, it's being labelled by many, the court, as a kangaroo court, obviously from critics, especially in light of what we're hearing here. What do you make of its standing in the world stage right now, the ICC?
Well, there are a number of countries around the world that continue to support it. Anything that has the word international in it seems to get a certain amount of undue halo effect and credibility. But certainly the United States, ever since 2002, on both sides of the aisle, has always seen this court as deeply troubling and as a weapon and as a tool. That's different from the Geneva Conventions. It's different from other bodies that America and Israel are a part of. But this particular body is problematic in that way. And as you and I discussed last week, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, announced that the United States is working to actually put an end to the court entirely through economic pressures.
Daniel Pomerantz, this conversation will continue. Appreciate you being here in studio. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
so much. Now, a tiny community in northern Israel